I am 81 years old. I lost my marriage after 30 years, and most days I still wake up expecting to hear her moving around the house. My name is Michael. I say that plainly because this isn't a story about an idea. It's about a life, mine. And there isn't much time left to soften what happened or dress it up so it sounds wise instead of painful. The house is quiet now in a way that feels permanent, not peaceful, just empty. The kind of empty that doesn't echo because nothing's left to bounce back. I sit at the same kitchen table where we used to drink coffee every morning. I'll still use the mug she bought me from a roadside shop 30 years ago. The handle is cracked. I never replaced it. I guess that tells you something about me. When people hear lost my marriage, they imagine shouting betrayal slammed doors. That wasn't us. We didn't explode. We faded slowly, so slowly that I didn't even notice it was happening. By the time I realized she was gone, she had already been gone for years. I tell this now because I can feel the edges of my life closing in. My hands shake more than they used to. Names slip away from me. Time doesn't stretch anymore. It collapses. And when time starts behaving like that, you feel an urge to finally tell the truth, even if it makes you look small. I met her when I was 29. She laughed easily back then, loud too, the kind of laugh that turned heads. I liked that people noticed her. I liked that she chose me. We married young by today's standards, but it felt right. It felt solid, like something you could build on without checking the foundation every day. And we did build a house, 2 kids, a routine that felt responsible and adult. I worked long hours, not because I loved the work, but because I believed that providing was the same thing as caring. That was the logic I lived by for decades. She didn't complain at first, or maybe she did, and I just didn't hear it the way I should have. I remember her asking once if I could come home earlier on Thursdays, just 1 day a week. I remember saying, "Things will slow down soon." I believed that, or at least I wanted to. Soon never came. Life has a way of rewarding you just enough to keep you running in the wrong direction. Promotions, compliments, a sense of being needed. I mistook that for purpose. I thought I was doing the right thing. I wasn't reckless. I wasn't cruel. I was just absent. Absence is quieter than anger. That's why it's so dangerous. Years passed like that. The kids grew up. The house stayed clean. Meals were cooked. Conversations became practical. Schedules. Bills. Who was picking up groceries? I can't remember when we last talked about how we felt. I don't think either of us noticed when that stopped. There were moments, small ones. She would pause before telling me something, then decide not to. I'd see it and think I'll ask later. Later became never. I thought silence meant stability. I was wrong. The first real crack showed up when I turned 58. I came home late again. She was sitting in the dark, not crying, just sitting there. She said, "I don't know where I fit in your life anymore." I remember feeling irritated, not at her, but at the inconvenience of the conversation. That still makes me ashamed. I told her we were fine, that we'd made it this far. That counted for something, didn't it? I didn't understand then that surviving together isn't the same as living together. That's the part I wish I had seen sooner. I didn't see how tired she was becoming of being patient. At the time, I thought patience was infinite, like a resource that refilled itself if you didn't touch it for a while. I didn't understand that patience is something you spend, and once it's gone, there's no warning bell. It just runs out. After that night, In the dark living room, I tried, in my own clumsy way, to be better. I asked how her day was. I stayed home a little more, but I didn't change the way I was present. I was still half somewhere else, still thinking about tomorrow while she was talking about today. She noticed. Of course she did. People don't leave because you stop loving them. They leave because they feel alone while standing right next to you. I see that clearly now. I didn't then. Our children were grown by the time things truly shifted. They had lives of their own, and suddenly it was just the two of us again. That's when the silence got louder. There was nothing left to hide behind. No school schedules, no packed weekends, just two people sitting across from each other, realizing they had become strangers who shared memories, but not a present. She started going out more, coffee with friends, long walks. I told myself it was healthy, that she deserved time for herself, and she did. But I didn't ask where she was going in her own mind. I didn't ask what she was thinking about when she was gone for hours. I assumed love was something you earned once and then owned forever. That assumption cost me my marriage. The day she told me she was leaving was quiet, no shouting, no accusations. She sat at the table, hands folded, and said she felt like she had already mourned us while we were still married. That sentence landed heavier than anything she could have screamed. She said she didn't hate me. That somehow hurt more. I asked if there was someone else. She shook her head. This isn't about another person, she said. It's about me disappearing. I had no argument for that, none that mattered. When she packed her things, she took very little. Clothes, books, a few photographs. She left behind the furniture, the dishes, the house we had lived in for decades. It was like she had already let go of everything that tied her to me. After she left, I walked from room to room like I was in a museum dedicated to a life I no longer lived. Every object had a story. Every story reminded me of something I didn't protect. Loneliness in old age isn't dramatic. It's procedural. You wake up. You make coffee for one. You eat meals without conversation. Days pass without anyone asking how you're doing, and you realize you haven't asked anyone else either. I replay conversations now, the small ones, the moments that seemed harmless at the time. When she asked for more of me, and I gave her reassurance instead of presence. When she wanted connection, and I offered stability, thinking they were the same thing. They are not. Stability without attention is just a quiet form of neglect. If I'm honest, the hardest part isn't that she left. It's knowing that if I had understood earlier what I understand now, things might have been different. Not guaranteed, but possible. And possibility matters. I don't tell this story because I want sympathy. I don't even tell it because I think it makes me wise. I tell it because there's a lesson here that didn't arrive with age. It arrived with loss. You don't lose a marriage in one moment. You lose it in thousands of small decisions to be elsewhere. I live with that now, and I carry it with me into whatever time I have left. At 81, time feels less like a line and more like a weight. It presses down on everything, on memories, on regrets, on the things you thought you'd get around to fixing someday. When you're young, someday feels generous. When you're my age, it feels dishonest. After the divorce, people asked me if I was angry, if I felt betrayed, if I blamed her. I didn't know how to answer them. Anger would have been easier. Anger gives you somewhere to put the pain. What I felt was heavier than that. It was recognition. I saw myself clearly for the first time, and I didn't like what I saw. I had been reliable, I had been faithful, I had worked hard, all the things people praise a man for, and yet I had failed at the part that mattered most. I had failed to notice the person I was sharing my life with. That realization doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with long, quiet afternoons when there's no one left to distract you from yourself. I thought retirement would soften things. I imagined we'd finally have time to travel, time to talk, time to reconnect. I didn't understand that time only helps if the connection is still alive. Ours was already starving. She had tried to tell me that in 100 small ways, through sighs, through pauses, through the way she stopped asking for things. I mistook her silence for peace. It wasn't peace. It was resignation. When she left, she didn't take my future. She took the version of it I had assumed was guaranteed. That's an important distinction. Nothing in life is guaranteed, especially not love. I see couples now older than we were sitting together at cafes, barely speaking. I used to think that meant they were comfortable. Now I wonder how many of them are just enduring. Endurance is not intimacy. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell him to work less or achieve less. That advice is too simple. I would tell him to be more awake, to notice the emotional temperature of the room he's in, to understand that people don't always announce their breaking points. They drift toward them quietly. I don't say this as a warning or a command. I say it as a fact learned too late. Relationships don't collapse because of one big mistake. They erode because of inattention. I still think about her, not in a dramatic way, more like a low ache that never quite leaves. I wonder if she's happy. I hope she is. That hope is part of what acceptance looks like. The lesson I leave behind isn't about marriage, really. It's about presence, about understanding that being physically there is not the same as being emotionally available. That listening is not something you do while waiting to speak. If this story resonates with you, you don't owe me anything. You don't need to change your life or fix everything today. Just notice. Notice the people who are still sitting at your table. One day, the chair might be empty, and you will remember this moment whether you want to or not. I'm learning to live with that knowledge now in the quiet years I have left. There are nights now when sleep comes late, and when it does, it brings memories instead of rest. I lie in bed and think about ordinary evenings we used to have. Nothing important on the surface. Television murmuring in the background. Her reading. Me pretending to read while my mind wandered somewhere else. I didn't realize those evenings were the core of our life together. I thought the important moments were the milestones. Birthdays, anniversaries, vacations. I was wrong. The truth is, a marriage lives or dies in the quiet hours no one talks about. At this age, you don't fear death the way younger people imagine. It's not dramatic. It's familiar. You start noticing how often it shows up in conversation, how many friends' names are followed by passed away, how often your body reminds you that it won't negotiate forever. What scares me more than dying is leaving things unsaid. That's why I'm telling this now. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect understanding. I just want the truth to exist somewhere outside my own head before I'm gone. I used to believe love was proven through sacrifice, through responsibility, through doing what needed to be done. And there's some truth in that. But love also needs attention. Not grand gestures, just attention. The kind that says, I see you, I hear you, You matter right now. I thought love was durable enough to survive neglect. I learned too late that neglect doesn't have to be cruel to be destructive. If I sound calm, it's not because this doesn't hurt. It's because pain changes shape as you age. It settles. It becomes part of the furniture. You stop reacting to it and start living around it. I keep one photograph on the shelf in the living room. It's from our 20th anniversary. We're both smiling, but when I look at it now, I can see the distance already forming, not in our bodies, in our eyes. I didn't notice it then. I notice it now. That's another cruel thing about hindsight. It sharpens everything. I don't know how much time I have left. No one really does, but at 81 the math feels simpler. I take slower walks. I move through days carefully. I speak less and think more. If there is a lesson in all of this, it's not about avoiding mistakes. You'll make them. We all do. It's about not postponing presence, not assuming that what exists today will still be there tomorrow just because it always has been. People don't stay because of history. They stay because of how you make them feel in the present. I wish I had understood that sooner. If you're listening to this and someone came to mind while I was speaking, that's not an accident. I won't tell you what to do with that feeling. I don't have the right. I'll only say that feelings like that tend to visit for a reason. As for me, I live with acceptance now, not peace, acceptance. I accept that some lessons only arrive after the cost has been paid in full. I accept that my marriage was one of those lessons. I loved her. I still do in a quieter, heavier way. And I carry the truth of what I failed to give alongside the gratitude for what we once had. That's what remains. This is the lesson I leave behind at 81.